Chapter 5 is medication dosage. All right, so when we are converting, that is changing the amount of medication from one measuring system to another. So that is, for an example, changing milligrams to milliliters or changing ounces to milliliters, because when we are documenting, usually in healthcare, when we are documenting liquids, we document in milliliters and not ounces. So in order to change that, I would have to multiply those ounces by 30 mLs. So that is the process of converting and changing measurements. Okay. So you got different measurement systems on slide 4. You have the metric system, okay? So this is using meter, kilograms, and liters. This is the preferred scientific and healthcare use, okay? So that's what you're going to see. You're going to see kilograms, you're going to see liters, things like that. That is what we use in healthcare. Household measurements deals in yards, pounds, fluid ounces. This should not be used to measure medications, okay? And then the apothecary system, this is an old way of measurement. It's not used rarely. Okay, that's slide 4. Slide 5, I would note that slide as just some measurements to know moving forward in my career of how to convert those. Okay. Well, one slide I want you to pay attention to is slide 7. So we're going to take a look at this. This is a chart for common conversions. Okay. So there is a couple that I want you to pay close attention to. So the first one is 1 teaspoon equals 5 mLs. Okay, 5 mLs. See, teaspoons is a household measurement, so we don't use that. So it has to be converted into milliliters. Okay, so 1 teaspoon is 5 mLs. 1 tablespoon, when you see that, tablespoon will always have a B in it, so it's bigger. So you see that? So 1 tablespoon has 3 teaspoons in it. We just found out 1 teaspoon is 5 mLs. So 3 of them is going to be how many mLs? 15. All right, so you need to know that. The next one you need to know is 1 fluid ounce is 2 tablespoons. Okay, 2 tablespoons is 30 mLs. Okay, so it's just doubling the dose. 1 cup is 8 fluid ounces, which is 16 tablespoons. Okay. Those 16 tablespoons is 240 mLs. And the way that they came up with that, whenever you are, again, trying to change ounces to milliliters, you have to multiply times 30. That's ounces moving to milliliters. So 8 times 30 gives me 240 mLs. Do you see that now? Okay. All right, so those are the ones that you need to know. Okay. When we're looking at clinical trials, whenever there's a clinical trial, before a medication can be placed onto the market, they have to get volunteers to take it to see how it will interact in people. Okay. That is that way, and I'm on slide 9. That way, they will know to say, hey, these are some side effects that you may experience. Here are some adverse reactions that you may experience, right? So, what they do, they will get people that will volunteer, let's just say 20 people. And let's say that the drug that I manufacture or came up with is for sickle cell. I get 20 volunteers that all have sickle cell. 10 of those people, I'm going to give what we call a placebo. That is a sugar pill, but I'm not going to tell them that. They're not really taking anything. Okay? I'm not going to tell them that. Then the other 10 people are going to get the actual drug that I produced, that I came up with. I'm going to send them both groups. I'm going to send them home for a period of time, whether it's 6 months to a year. And I'm going to tell them as they take the medication to document their experiences. Hey, on day 1, I experienced nausea. On day 2, I experienced dizziness. And then I had some diarrhea and whatever. I had about 3 or 4 episodes of diarrhea. Those are all of the side effects that they experienced. So at the end of that trial, when they're either it's 6 months or to a year, at the end of that time frame, they come back, they bring that data, they bring in everything that they experienced, and in that way, I can compose a list of side effects that I can warn people about. So when you see the commercials and they say this name of this medication, you're going to also hear what it's for, and then it's going to say, but you may experience nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, halos around your vision field, or death. Okay? The only reason why they know that is because of the clinical trial and what people have reported that they experienced. Does that make sense? Okay. The dosage range depends on, and it's determined during the clinical trial. The dosage range will determine, hey, for this is the smallest dose that can be therapeutic, that is going to help with their condition. This dosage range here is too high and it could be toxic. All of those, that dosage, them figuring out that sweet spot, they're going to find that out in the clinical trial through those volunteers. Okay. If someone reaches toxicity level, that means that the dose was too high. It was too high and it caused an adverse reaction. Okay. A therapeutic dose is the desired effect. That is the dose that we want, that is going to provide whatever it depends on whatever it is. Okay. So let's just say, for an example, therapeutic dose. Let's say lithium. Lithium is a salt. It's for it's a mood stabilizer that we give to people with psychiatric disorders, right? Lithium, they have to take that every day at a certain time, and it has to build up in their system, right? If they're started on a dose that is too high for them, they're going to reach toxicity level, right? Therapeutic would be, okay, at this level that we have reached, at this dosage, whether it's 100 milligrams, the patient levels, their mood has been stabilized. Okay, they're not having any type of reactions. That would be a therapeutic dose. That's what we want to happen. If we give them a dose that is 100 milligrams and they're starting to have adverse reactions, now we are seeing them being toxic. So now we have to taper them off, slowly take them off of that dose, and then we have to adjust it. But that's all that the physician does. Okay. We want every pill, every med that we give to have a this therapeutic dose. Okay. Whenever they start reaching toxicity, it could be the fact that their kidneys aren't functioning properly. So they're not excreting the drug properly. Okay. So on slide 10, it breaks it down more. Too high dose can cause toxicity. Too low a dose will prevent the medication from working properly. Some drugs work in a very narrow range. So they'll have to have tests to be performed to make sure that the dose is correct. Okay. Many residents take several different medications with a narrow therapeutic range. Okay, so we need to observe and report because this helps to ensure that residents are receiving the proper dose and that their medications are providing the desired effects. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 5.